adapt or die. It's such a simple, almost silly thing to say. It's a cliche. It's a truism. Adapt or die. Adapt or lose your way. It's the single most important principle of evolution. Adapt or go extinct. Survival of the fittest means survival of the most adapted and the most adapted. Things change. Situations change. So you have to change too. So why don't people do it? Why do people refuse to adapt, preferring extinction instead? I could try to answer that question, but I'll forgo that for today. I'll just point out a few examples of how I see the powers that be in the United States of America refusing to adapt and therefore drifting themselves, and maybe all of us, or maybe even hurtling all of us, toward our own form of extinction. So, example number one is clinging to ideas about growth, particularly economic growth. Capitalism, as you may or may not know, is in practice dependent on the concept of continuous economic growth to maintain itself in the form that Americans have been finding acceptable. It only saves itself from this relentless push toward growth by periodic recessions, depressions, panics, corrections, economic crashes, that sort of thing. Nobody really likes recessions or depressions or other forms of slowdown and negative growth. But at least they make things exciting, and they reignite the flame of growth worship when they happen, because people think, well, it's going to grow again later, so we're all going to get rich. Or some people do, the ones who aren't absolutely panicked. But here's the thing, nothing on this planet lasts forever, including growth. Economic growth is literally driving us to extinction by ruining the resources of our planet, like clean air and clean water. They're ruining the resources of this planet faster than we can get off the planet that we're ruining. Not to mention changing the climate, which historically is a good way to get not just civilizations, but entire clumps of species to go extinct forever. But the folly of worshiping growth goes beyond that. Because, as far as we can tell, the human population of Earth is not going to grow forever. It's not even going to grow for very much longer. It's going to decline. The underlying driver of economic growth in capitalism, like it or not, is population growth. Endless growth is not good. Which means it's time to start figuring out how to jump off the capitalism as we know it boat and swim to the shore of another economic system. One that does not require endless economic growth. This reality will seem absolutely incomprehensible to many who do not know or have forgotten that capitalism in its present form is a relatively new system of thought, sprouting up in tandem with industrialization. Humans actually have lived without capitalism for the vast majority of their time on Earth. They can live without it again. It's just an idea. It can go extinct, or we can go extinct. Lots of people know this. Regular people, young people, educated people, so educated people, UN people, forward-looking people, even people like Elon Musk. But the people who know, by and large, are not the people in power. Why is that? Because the people in power got into power under the very system that's decaying and destroying everything in sight on its way out. The people in power are saying, no, it works. It made me rich. It made me powerful. If it goes away, I'll lose everything. I'll be just another schlub. And I can't be just another schlub. Because without my wealth and power, I'm not even a particularly good schlub. I have no morals, no talent, no love. God, no. And so on. Which is understandable. But here's the thing, plenty of titans of industry and ego have bit the dust before the ones that are currently in power. The world would survive just as well without you powerful people, and maybe it will even survive better. There were once plenty of people who were convinced that not only themselves but everything else would die if slavery went extinct in the United States. They were wrong. What killed them was, in fact, fighting to keep slavery intact. Adapters